Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you are in the Prog Corner. Welcome, guys. Today is part 3 of your favorite obscure prog rock albums. I asked you guys to give me one, and you gave me 145. So today we're going to roll out the next batch of 25 obscure prog rock albums as curated by you guys and as ranked by me. And it's been pretty amazing so far, I gotta say. These have just been incredible. There's not been one clunker in the bunch. You guys have the best taste in music. It's just amazing. I've been loving this. So here we go, part 3, guys. And we're starting with number 95 and Gizmodrome Live. This was recommended to me by Bayou Macabre. If you don't know Gizmodrome, this is Adrian Belew, Stuart Copeland, Mark King, and Cosmo. Kind of a super group. Really cool stuff. I listened to it over the weekend and I liked it a lot. I'd heard about it, but I never actually bothered listening to it. Big mistake. It's really great. At number 94, courtesy of John Collier, I'm going to 1968 with the Travel Agency. Their self-titled debut. It's a really cool album. It's kind of psychedelic, but I dig it. I'd never heard these guys before, never even heard of them before. So thank you, John, for turning me on to that. I don't listen to a lot of stuff from the late 60s, the psychedelic stuff, but I'm really going to start at number 93. The great Nando, the man who said I had the best hair on the internet. At 93, he's recommended Priam, and the album is Three Distances, Irregular Signs. These guys are from France. This album came out in 1998. It's kind of jazz rock, but it's got a good vibe to it. These guys are amazing musicians. I'd heard of Priam before, but I'd never bothered listening to them. I thought they were like mega fusion-y, but they're really not. There's plenty of symphonic sounds going on in this music to whet my appetite. I was digging it. I actually went back and listened to the whole album a second time. So thank you, Nando. Really good one. At number 92, we're going to Poland with Abraxas and Live in Memorium. Matt Paz recommended this one. This came out in 2000. The only thing I knew about this Polish band, Abraxas, was their 1999 album. I guess it was called 99. I picked it up because they had a Polish version and an English version. I picked up the English version. I should have picked up the Polish version. I've learned from my mistakes. Listen to bands in their native languages, people. It's the best way to go. At number 91, another album I did not know about from Death by Unicorn. This is a band called The Kindred, but before they changed their name, they went by Today I Caught the Plague. And I remember seeing that name around. I always figured they were kind of like a post-rock band. Death by Unicorn has suggested the album Lure, and it's really good. I guess their first EP had the death growl vocals. They put those to bed, and they're doing clean vocals now. It's a good record. Thank you, Death by Unicorn, for that. Mark Spooner's got us at number 90. We're going to 1971 in the UK and the debut album by Indian Summer. Not to be confused with the American emo band of the same name. This was the UK band that came out in the early 70s, and this is a good record, man. Mark, thank you. I've never listened to it before. I'd seen it around. I'd heard about these guys. So you forcing me to listen to their debut album actually was a really good experience. I enjoyed it a lot. At number 89, another album I knew absolutely nothing about. Number 89 is coming to us from Gemmis Lind. And it is Keith Cross and Peter Ross with Bored Citizens from 1972. No idea this record even existed. Keith Cross comes to us from the band T2, who their debut album we might be hearing about in a later episode on this obscure list, because their debut album is fantastic. It's phenomenal. I had never heard of this. I'd never seen this before. Listening to it was a real fun experience. It's kind of light. It's kind of breezy. It kind of made me think a little bit of Camel at times, but whatever. It's fantastic. At number 88, courtesy of Hans Foreman. This is a great call. Wow, this is why I'm doing this. This record right here is exactly why I'm doing this. It's 1984 from Sweden, Tribute, and the album is NewViews. I'd heard about this. I knew this band, but I'd never listened to them. Wow, this is a great trip. Side 1's got some shorter tracks. Side 2 is a 22-minute behemoth, an epic. The title track starts out with some really nice classical guitar work, and then the other instruments start building into it. It's really cool. Thank you so much for that suggestion. For number 87 from David Bagnall, I knew you'd come up with something great. Absolute Elsewhere, In Search of Ancient Gods. This is Paul Fishman's album. Most people in the prog world know this album because he's got the great Dr. Bill Bruford on drums, but don't expect anything like National Health or anything like Yes, Genesis or King Crimson on this. It's kind of soundtrack music. It's really chill. It makes you think of Pink Floyd a lot of the time, but it's really great. I haven't listened to this in forever, so thank you so much, David, for the suggestion. At number 86, we're going to Hungary. Steve Hajas has recommended Omega's second album, 1,000 Lepes, or 10,000 Lepes, or something like that. I guess it means steps. I know their first album, Time Robber. I know some of their later stuff. I'd actually never heard this one before. It came out in 1969. R.I.P. Jonas Copper. What a great singer. He left us a couple years ago. I really like Omega, and this was a great album. Every bit as good as their first album. I really liked it a lot, so thanks for that suggestion. At number 85, one that maybe doesn't cut the mustard exactly as a obscure record, but Red Pig, my good friend Red Pig, he has recommended Toto's second album, Hydra. This comes to us from 1979. The song 99 was a big hit. I remember hearing that everywhere. I really loved Toto's first album, so I bought that album right away. Yeah, the day it came out, I was waiting at the record store. Well, I bought it, pretty soon after it came out. It was really good. I like Toto quite a bit. So thank you, Red Pig, for that. At number 84, the one and only Scott Medina has nominated Italy's Mangala Vallis, their first album, Book of Dreams, from 2002. This is one of the records that got me back into Italian prog. Well, to be honest, I never really got that deep into it in the 70s. Then a bunch of records came out in the early 2000s that opened up my eyes, opened up my ears. This was definitely one of them. The fact that the great Bernardo Lanzetti sings on one song was probably the hook that made me listen to it all those years ago. But revisiting it over the weekend has just made me think that this album is just phenomenal and people need to revisit it. At number 83, courtesy of Peter Kelly, we're going to Canada and FM's second album, Direct to Disc. This was their first album without Nash the Slash, their crazed violin player. I guess as the name implies, they did not use magnetic tape. They actually performed live in the studio and cut this record direct onto the master disc. Yeah, I can't hear any difference between it and the first album. I really like both of them. FM's a cool band. Thanks, Peter Kelly. At number 82, we're going to stay in Canada. Ken Barodi. I knew he'd come up with something phenomenal, and he did. We're talking about The Spirit of Christmas, Lies to Live By. I think this came out in 75 or somewhere around there. I know they had put out 2 albums previous to that under the name Christmas, but I guess there was some contractual obligation or there was some other band that had that name, so they changed their name to The Spirit of Christmas, put this one Mellotron-drenched masterpiece out and then disappeared into the sands of time, into the ether sphere, never to be heard from ever again. Ken, you did a great job with that suggestion. I love that album. I really do. At number 81, we're going to Germany and Heldon with their final album, Stand By, from 1979. This is Richard Pinnis's electronic band. They're they're not really krautrock per se, but they definitely are influenced by the Tangerine Dreams of the world and whatnot. It's really dark, it's really intricate, it's really cool. There's some great melodies sprinkled on throughout this album. I really do enjoy it, so thank you, Charles Marion, for that. At number 80, we're going back to Hungary with After Crying and De Profundis. Thank you, Mark Berg. This is their fourth album, released in 1996. I had never heard this particular album by them. I'd heard a couple of their albums they put out before, but this one's even better. So yeah, what a great suggestion. I really like how melodic these guys are. I like the way they structure their music. It's phenomenal. It's really great. At number 79, a band that maybe I'm not a huge fan of, and I apologize for its low ranking. I know you guys are probably going to kill me, but it bites at Once Around the World, courtesy of Halcyon 289. This was Francis Dunnery and Crew's second album. It was produced by the great Nick Davis, so he'd been fresh off of his work with Genesis, so it's got that real pop prog kind of sound, very radio friendly. It's not my usual cup of tea. I went back and listened to it again. I like it, Bites, but I will never be a huge fan. It's just not my style of prog, I guess. At number 78, Nathan on Shuffle. Dude's channel is on fire. If you don't know it, definitely check it out and subscribe to him. He has recommended ACT, Last Epic. This comes to us from 2003. This is the Swedish band's third album, I think. I like these guys. They throw a lot into their music. They got a little bit of metal. They got a little bit of prog. They got a little bit of this. They got a little bit of that. But they never cease to amaze me with their great songwriting. I'm a big fan of ACT, and I'm a big fan of Nathan on Shuffle. Dynamite suggestion at number 77. Peter Gallagher wants me to talk about Klaatu and their second album, Hope. Yeah, Klaatu was that band that everybody thought was the Beatles. Their first two albums certainly had plenty of Beatles breadcrumbs and Easter eggs for people to sink their teeth into. Their third, fourth, and fifth albums I do not like at all, but I really do enjoy the first two Klaatu albums a lot, and I probably like the second one even better than the first one. It's actually really good. If you don't know Klaatu, if you just have heard about the hype or whatever, check them out. They should be known for their music and not for, the rumors and whatnot. At 79, courtesy of the great Marco Tron, he's gonna be wanting me to talk about Tai Phong and their great debut album from 1975. Tai Phong were these two Vietnamese brothers who had immigrated to France in the 70s, and they put out three really, really good albums in the 70s. And I guess they disappeared, and they came out with a couple more records later on, which I have not heard, but I know all three of their 70s albums, and I like all three of their 70s albums. And Marco, you picked the right one. The debut is their best. All Media Reviews has us at number 79. This is a record that I'd completely forgotten about. It's Apes and Androids from 2008. I remember these guys when they first came out because I was a big fan of Call Florence Powell, a band that some of these members came from. And they decided they wanted to kind of move away from, the alternative and maybe do a few more progressive things. I don't know, because Call Florence Powell sounded pretty prog to me. I like this album. Back in the day, I'd probably only listened to it once or twice, so I'm really glad that it showed up here so I could spend some more time with it. I'd forgotten all about it, and it's really, really good. Speaking about really, really good suggestions, at number 74, Wizard O' Fox. Dude, yeah, this is a great one. I'd never heard this before. 1980 from Argentina. It's Agnus and Pinturas y Expresiones. Yeah, yeah. If you like Argentinian Prog, MIA, Espiritu, Boo Boo, that kind of thing. Wow, this is just great. It's got that South American folk angle going on with the, acoustic guitars and flutes and stuff, but it's actually really intricate. The themes are beautiful. The songs are structured really well. Agnus, I'd never heard this before. Wizardo, dude, awesome, awesome. At number 73, courtesy Ingve Valgirison. Yeah, something like that. One of my very first subscribers. You picked the great Atomic Rooster's debut album from 1970. I totally whiffed and didn't have Vincent Crane on my top keyboard players of all time. Probably should have been there. This is the album with Carl Palmer on drums. You've got Nick Graham, and I guess he was replaced shortly after they recorded this. John Ducan went back and re-recorded some of his parts, so it's a little weird. The credits never made any sense, but yeah, that first Atomic Rooster album, I really, really do love it, and I'm using it as a thumbnail, and I hope YouTube doesn't have a problem with the artwork. You know what I'm talking about there. At number 72, this comes from the great Zeb, my Norwegian compatriot. He's got Morte, Macabre, and Symphonic Holocaust. Zeb, are you Norwegian or Swedish, dude? I know you're Scando, but anyway. This is the super group made up of 2 members from Anecdoten, 2 members from Landberg, and wouldn't you know it, all 4 of them are playing Mellotron all the way through this thing. It's dark, it's dense, it's amazing. I really like this record a lot. This was a one-off. They never did a second album, and I wish they would, because I really dig this one. And at number 71, the last one of the day, we're going, we're staying in Sweden with Isildurs Bane and The Voyage, Trip to Elsewhere from 1992. This is a bizarre collective of musicians. They do a lot of symphonic stuff, a lot of classical stuff. They did an album with Marillion's Age recently. They've done 2 albums with Peter Hamill recently, but these earlier 90s records are really cool, very classical. These guys are definitely on top of their game. They bring their A game with every record, but your mileage may vary based on how much you like your prog with all that symphonic and classical elements to it. Anyway, so that's part 3, man. We're going to do 3 more. They just keep getting better and better. As you can see behind me, I went to the record show over the weekend and had a really, really good time. But I want you guys to have a great week. I need you guys to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notifications button, do all that really lame stuff that we need to do to grow the channel. And I got 2 quick shout outs. First of all, I just want to give a quick shout out to the great Jim Newstead. Yeah, my very first member. And I just picked up a second member today, the $5 connoisseur level. You too could be a member. I got my second one today from Bulgaria, the great Victor Lazarov, who's been with me from day one also, going back on those old videos and seeing who was commenting on day one of this channel. And yeah, you're one of them. So yeah, if you too want to be cool like Jim and like Victor, you know what to do. Hit that join button. But we're just going to keep growing this channel and having fun talking about prog rock. And I am Scott, and you guys are the best, absolute best subscriber base on the internet. I'm blessed to have you guys. Anyway, have a great week. I love you. Peace.